A very good evening. From stories around the world to stories here at home, this is the National News Broadcast. I'm Vidushni Sadish Kumar.
Hello there, good evening. I'm Niket Karunaratna. We'll start off with the headlines as usual.
The Presidential Secretariat says the fuel price increase is one of the key factors of a common strategy to strengthen the local economy. The country recorded the highest single-day vaccination count yesterday. Prime Minister instructs to obtain the assistance of paediatricians to identify issues related to children following the resumption of the school term. Distribution of the 5,000 rupee allowance for the fisheries community affected from the ship accident to commence on Tuesday. State Minister Lasantha says there is no decision to increase gas prices. Uncertainty over the lifting of COVID restrictions in the UK on the 21st of June.
On to those and other stories in detail. The President's Media Division says that the fuel price increase are only one key factor in a common strategy that strengthens the local economy. The press release issued by the President's Media Division pointed out that the Cost of Living Committee, chaired by the President and convened with the participation of the Prime Minister and the ministers in charge of the subject, focused on a number of main reasons for the need to increase fuel prices. This media statement was issued last evening with the objective to brief the reasons contributed to the fuel price increases.
The present government increased the fuel prices for the first time after they came into power on June 10th midnight. Accordingly, a media briefing was held to brief in this regard, with the participation of Minister Udaya Gammanpilla and State Minister Ajit Niwad Cabral. Subsequently, a statement has been issued bearing the signature of General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna, Attorney Sagara Karyavasam, last evening following the increase of the fuel prices. The statement had mentioned that the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna is concerned that the government has been placed in a difficult situation by taking a decision to increase the fuel price levels without resorting to an alternative, which would further inconvenience the public who are already in a difficult situation. The statement further said that the government has faced this inconvenience due to the failure of the subject minister to take the relevant decisions in appropriate occasions, considering future possibilities. The General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna has further mentioned that the subject minister is directly responsible for the fuel price increase and should take the full responsibility for causing such a situation and resign from his post. Minister Udaya Gammanpilla convened a media briefing today to respond in this regard. Minister Udaya Gammanpilla said that he briefed the Cabinet of Ministers on February the 15th on the crisis situation faced by the Petroleum Corporation and the energy sector. Accordingly, he said that a subcommittee headed by the Prime Minister was appointed to resolve this crisis. He said that the decision to amend the fuel price rates was reached on May 12th following 3 rounds of discussions. He said that the President was briefed regarding the decision. The minister further said that the President subsequently held discussions with the officials of the ministry in this regard. Accordingly, he said that the decision was reached to direct this issue to the Ministerial Subcommittee on the Cost of Living. He said that lengthy discussions were held over many aspects in this regard and alternatives were discussed in an attempt to reduce the impact on the cost of living due to the price increase. The President's Media Division issued the relevant statement on the fuel price increases this evening to clarify the existing situation in this regard. The Cost of Living Committee, chaired by the President and convened with the participation of the Prime Minister and the ministers in charge of the subject, focused on a number of main reasons for the need to increase fuel prices. One of the main reasons for this is the continuous rise in global crude oil prices over the past few months. At present, the price of a barrel of crude oil is over $70, and market trends indicate that it will continue to rise. Sri Lanka has become a country that not only spends a large amount of foreign exchange for fuel imports, but also a country where its transport services, power generation, and the function of some of the factories are based on these imports. In 2019 alone, the foreign exchange spent on oil imports was $3,677 million. The cost spent for fuel imports was reduced to $2,325 million in 2020 due to the ban on vehicle imports and the reduction in international oil prices to $45.57 in 2020 from the previous price of $68.8 in 2019. However, the price of crude oil barrel in 2021 has exceeded $70. Therefore, although the ban on vehicle imports was maintained, the expenditure from the foreign exchange earnings for petroleum imports would be around $4,000 million. This amount is close to one-third of the total foreign exchange earned from the exports. The import-dependent pattern of consumption, which includes imports of seeds, fertilizers, foods, pharmaceuticals and vaccines, must be transformed into a production-based pattern of consumption. In addition to spending foreign exchange, the Ceylon Petroleum Corporation has been a loss-making institution, relying on loans obtained from the Bank of Ceylon and the People's Bank annually. The amount to be paid to the two banks as loans is 652 billion rupees. As the Ceylon Electricity Board is also to repay nearly 85 billion rupees in loans to the two banks, the Treasury has issued bonds on loans given by the state banks, and it has to pay a high interest on the loans as well. The private and public transportation accounts for nearly 60% of the fuel consumption, and it should be reduced. Therefore, electric vehicles as well as electric rail transport have the potential to reshape the transportation sector in the country. Transport costs can also be stabilized by completely stopping the importation of new vehicles powered with fuel, as well as promoting the use of electric vehicles and providing electric engines for three-wheelers. Transitioning towards the use of eco-friendly energy sources is imperative due to an increase in lung-related diseases in the population and increasing air pollution in urban areas caused by high fuel consumption. By converting the Kalanithissa power station into an LNG power plant, the Ceylon Electricity Board will also be able to reduce the higher costs for fuel. According to the National Development Programme towards a climate-resilient green economy, fertilizers, fuels, forest resources and garbage should be managed in a manner that enhances the quality of life of people. Therefore, in addition to increasing prices, the government has taken steps to implement a number of proposals to change the pattern of consumption based on imported fuels. The government also aims to improve the renewable energy capacity to prevent 30% of fuel usage by the CEB for power generation. Therefore, providing solar thermal power kits to every household, school, hospital and government building will pave the way for the public to generate income by selling those units to the CEB, while the pressure on the high cost borne by the people will also reduce. Thus, these price increases are only one key factor in a common strategy that strengthens the local economy. It aims to strengthen the country's banking system and maintain low interest rates, reduce foreign exchange spending and strengthen the exchange rate. Further, it is a decision taken to safeguard the health and welfare of the people and to transform the import-dependent consumer economy into an investment and consumer economy dependent on domestic production.
State Minister Lasantha Alagevana says the government is yet to reach a decision to increase the price rates of gas. He made these remarks while speaking at a media briefing held in Colombo today. State Minister Lasantha Alagevana said that the price of a metric ton of gas in the world market has increased up to 550 rupees, which has directly contributed to the gas price in the country. He said that the government has not taken a decision to increase the price rates of gas in the country. He added that both the gas producers in the country have faced a severe financial crisis due to existing situation. He further added that the government has to resolve these concerns as well. Accordingly, he said that a subcommittee consists of 5 state ministers has been appointed to provide recommendations in this regard. He further said that the Litro company introduced 18-litre gas cylinder in place of 12.5 kilograms gas cylinder 1.5 months ago. Accordingly, he said that the regulations enforced through the Consumer Affairs Authority or the regulations in the country have no effect on the new introduction. The Consumer Affairs Authority inquired from the Attorney General's Department on the legal action which can be taken in this regard. In response, the Consumer Affairs Authority ordered to introduce the new product without any alterations and similar to 12.5 kilograms gas cylinder. He said that legal action will be taken against the dealers and the agents failing to adhere to the relevant order, and gazette notification will be issued over the legal action that can be taken against them.
The country recorded the highest number of vaccine doses administered on a single day under the COVID-19 immunization program yesterday. State Minister Professor Channeleye Rupavahini says that 137,067 doses of vaccines were administered yesterday. State Minister Professor Channeleye Rupavahini said that the country recorded the highest number of vaccine doses administered on a single day under the COVID-19 immunization program yesterday. He requested the public not to gather at vaccination centres prior to the date allocated for them to receive the second dose of the Sinopharm vaccine. He added that those who received the first dose will definitely receive the second dose without a fail. Therefore, he requested the public to wait for their opportunity to receive the vaccine without crowding vaccination centres. Meanwhile, the inoculation of the second dose of the Sputnik V vaccine was commenced today. The vaccination programs were conducted in Madinagoda Raj Mahavihara and Angoda Sri Rahula Vihara in Gotatua Medical Health Officers Division. 700 people received the second dose of the Sputnik V vaccine under the immunization program held at the Madinagoda Raj Mahavihara. Inoculation of the second dose of the Sinopharm vaccine for the people in the Gampaha district is currently underway. Minister Prasanna Ranatunga observed the vaccination program held at the Gampaha municipal grounds yesterday. Another vaccination program was held at Hiloya Al Yasid Muslim School in Bandarawala today. Minister Namal Rajapaksa observed the proceedings of the program. 50 regional journalists in Hambantota district received the vaccine today. The program to provide vaccines for bus drivers and conductors in private transport services was held in Middenya area today. Vaccination programs conducted with the assistance of the Sri Lanka Army are still in process. Accordingly, a vaccination program was held at the Situmina Community Centre in Kirulapana today. The vaccination program, scheduled to be held in Kandy municipality limits, is expected to commence on the June 15th. Minister Namal Rajapaksa has said that the administration of the first dose of the COVID-19 immunization program for the employees in the free trade zones will commence from the first week of July. The minister made these remarks during a meeting held with the managers and investors of the Koggala Free Zone trade yesterday. Ministers Ramesh Patirana, State Minister D.V. Chanaka and Chairman of Galle District Development Committee Sampath Atukorala were present on the occasion. Meanwhile, the police have indicated that 1,353 persons were taken into custody in the last 24 hours for violating health guidelines, which is the highest number of arrests made in a single day in the country. 1,886 COVID-19 patients were detected in the country today. Meanwhile, 2,031 patients left the hospitals today following recovery. Accordingly, the total recoveries in the country has increased up to a total of 188,547. 32,480 COVID-19 patients are still receiving treatment in hospitals. The Director General of Health Services has confirmed 63 COVID-19 related deaths from the 23rd of last month up to the 11th of this month. Accordingly, the total number of deaths has been increased to 2,136.
Now on to our Corona World update. Moscow announces a non-working week in the Russian capital, with non-essential workers have been advised to stay home as coronavirus cases hit a 6-month high. Meanwhile, UNICEF calls on G7 nations to commit to vaccine equality to end the pandemic and should deliver detailed plans at the conclusion of the summit in Cornwall. Russia has reported more than 14,700 new COVID-19 cases, including 7,700 in Moscow, the largest one-day national caseload since February 13th. The number of new infections in Moscow was the most reported in one day since December 24th. The city's mayor has advised residents to stay off work this coming week to curb the spread of the virus. The country has recorded 357 coronavirus-related deaths, taking the death toll to over 126,400. Cases have been on the rise across the country in recent weeks as Russia struggles to inoculate its citizens despite domestic vaccines being widely available to the public. Meanwhile, UK Prime Minister has indicated that discussions are underway over the delaying of the final lifting of lockdown restrictions in England up to a month, as the government said to make a final decision within this week. The Prime Minister, who is hosting the G7 summit in Cornwall, is due to announce tomorrow whether Stage 4 of his COVID roadmap can go ahead as planned on June 21st. With cases of the Delta variant that was first identified in India continuing to increase rapidly, a 4-week delay is now widely expected, potentially with a break clause at 2 weeks. The United Kingdom has reported 7,738 new domestic infections yesterday. COVID-19 is continuing to spread around the world with more than 176.3 million confirmed cases and 3,810,045 deaths across nearly 200 countries recorded since China reported its first cases to the World Health Organization in December 2019. The US remains the worst hit country with 34,315,873, followed by India, Brazil, France and Turkey. India's daily COVID-19 cases remain below the 100,000 for the 5th consecutive day today. The country reported 80,800 new infections in the last 24 hours and 3,300 new deaths, taking the total number of confirmed infections in India to 29.4 million and deaths to 370,400.
Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa instructs educational authorities to obtain the assistance of paediatricians to identify diseases and relevant issues related to children following the resumption of the schools. The Prime Minister made these remarks while taking part in a discussion held in Templetrees yesterday. The relevant meeting was held to direct attention on the inoculation of COVID-19 vaccines for the students and teachers, as well as resumption of schools. Pointing out the importance in resuming schools under several stages after controlling the COVID-19 situation in the country, the Prime Minister said that the inoculation of COVID-19 vaccines for the teachers can be fulfilled through the Ministry of Health. The representatives of the Paediatricians Association said that the assistance of the association can be provided on the educational zone level in order to avert any issues pertaining to resumption of schools. Secretary to the Ministry of Education, Kapila Pereira, said that the priority of the COVID-19 immunization program should be given for students in grade 11 and 13 in relation to the resumption of schools. The Prime Minister mentioned that the government will always take measures to safeguard the teachers as well as future generations of the country. Mentioning that a program has to be prepared with a mechanism to transport students and teachers to school in a safe manner, the Prime Minister requested direct attention on the health protective methodologies to be followed during the transportation of school children. Paediatricians Association expressed their gratitude for the assistance provided by the spouse of the Prime Minister, Mrs. Shranti Rajapaksa, during the inoculation of pregnant mothers for COVID-19. Minister G.L. Pires, Secretary to the Prime Minister Gamini Senarath, Secretary to the Ministry of Education Kapila Pereira were also present at the meeting.
Our correspondents say that many people and farmers across the country have involved in the production and the usage of organic fertilizer. The new interest of the public has stemmed from the decision reached by the government to suspend the use of chemical fertilizer. An organic fertilizer production program has been initiated on the Divisional Secretariat divisional level across the country jointly by the Ministers of Lands and Agriculture, Eppavala Phosphate Company and Sri Lanka Mahawali Authority. The intention of the program is to establish 35 large-scale organic fertilizer manufacturing plants and create 300 new entrepreneurs. The first fertilizer manufacturing plant was commenced today with the participation of Minister S.M. Chandrasena. The objective of the production project is to manufacture 300,000 metric tons of organic fertilizer by next September. The minister said that fertilizer will be distributed among farmer communities at concessionary price rates. Meanwhile, a model farm which cultivates indigenous paddy varieties with the use of organic fertilizer was initiated in Madamulana, Veerakatiya area. It was commenced with the participation of Minister Chamala Rajapaksa. Domestic organic fertilizer, liquid fertilizer and natural herbicides will be used for the cultivation. The aim of this project is to distribute the harvest of the cultivation among the farmers. More than 11,000 kilograms of organic fertilizer have been produced at the Ambalantota Organic Fertilizer Manufacturing Plant. The plant has been established in Uhapitaguda area in Ambalantota. Chairman of the local government body Darshana Sanjeeva has said that small amounts of degradable waste will be collected from 55 Grama Nilladhara divisions belonging to Ambalanthura division to improve the production process. Many farmers in Madirigiriya area have been directed their attention on the use of organic fertilizer. Meanwhile, a farmer in Lanka village has produced a liquid to avoid damages caused from pests. An organic fertilizer manufacturing plant has been initiated in Hipankanda LPTA area. The aim of this project is to provide adequate quantities of organic fertilizer for the farmer community in the area. A farmer in Madamulana Veerakatya area has been successful in reaping a harvest following the use of organic fertilizer. Well, on to your other stories. The government has taken steps to provide the 5,000 rupee allowance to the fisheries community affected from the incident related to Express Pearl ship from next Tuesday. Accordingly, a meeting to brief the fisheries community in this regard was held at the Negombo Town Hall yesterday. Minister Douglas Devananda headed the meeting while State Ministers Kanchana Wijesekara and Nimal Lansa took part in it. Representatives of the fisheries associations from Vattala, Palyevatta to Porutata, Negombo and representatives of the fisheries associations related to Negombo Lagoon also participated in the meeting. It was also noted at the meeting that the fisheries activities can be conducted in the subjected area except for the banned region. It was further noted that steps will be taken to release the banned region gradually based on sections. It was also noted that fisheries activities in the Negombo Lagoon region can be conducted without any hindrances. The Nara Institute as well as the Atomic Energy Authority have confirmed that neither the fuel of the ship nor chemical components have mixed with the ocean. It was revealed at the meeting that the relevant subjected area has been declared as a banned region, considering the potential damages which may cause to the fisheries equipment from the remains of the purged ship. The cleaning processes of the coastal region as well as the oceanic area are continuing at a rapid pace to resume fisheries activities.
Construction activities related to the Central Expressway project in Gampaha district have been suspended temporarily. Minister Prasanna Ranatunga said that a decision regarding the construction activities will be reached following a review on the project. Many areas in the district were inundated due to the inclement weather situation that prevailed in the country. The residents have pointed out that certain constructions related to the expressway project had contributed to this situation. The attention in this regard was directed at a meeting held in the Ministry of Highways. Minister Prasanna Ranatunga engaged in an observation tour in the affected areas yesterday to inquire into the relevant issue. He also observed the road built to transport supplies for the project across a paddy field in Ratmalvita area. The residents have said that this supply road is the cause for the flood situation. The minister pointed out that if the cause for this flood situation in the Gampaha district is the Central Expressway project, then the Yahapalana government should bear responsibility in this regard for altering the relevant plans of the project.
The Ceylon Sugar Company says it is able to fulfill the brown sugar requirement in the country. Chairman of the company, Janaka Nimalachandras, also says that the company is able to fulfill locally the ethanol requirement as well. The Palvatta and Sivanagala sugar factories are being managed by the Ceylon Sugar Company. More than 25,000 acres of land have come under sugarcane cultivation by the Palvatta Sugar Factory. The two factories in Palvatta and Sivanagala generate more than 25,000 direct and indirect job opportunities. Both factories have the capacity to grind around 450,000 tons of cane. The annual sugar production is 50,000 metric tons. Both factories have been taken over by the government in 2011. They have become profit-making institutions by the year 2014. However, the annual revenue of these factories have recorded a significant decrease since the year 2015. By the end of the year 2019, the Palvatta and Sivanagala sugar companies have been incurring a loss of around 1,300 million rupees. The present management of the company has slashed farmers' loans amounting to 480 million rupees. The other progressive measures taken on behalf of the workers included increasing of employee bonus payments, increasing the amount being paid on a metric ton of sugarcane, and making permanent the employment of 2,000 employees. A sum of 4,000 million rupees has been invested to uplift production in the two factories. The monies have been utilized to purchase new machinery, repairing old machinery, and development of irrigation water facilities. And insurance coverage is also being implemented for the well-being of the sugarcane farmers. The two factories fulfill 12.5 million litres of the ethanol requirement in the country. Ethanol is a byproduct of sugar manufacturing. Sugar production is being carried out continuously despite the prevalence of the corona pandemic. Strict health guidelines are being enforced in the factories. Workers' committees have been set up to control the spread of the COVID-19 disease.
A high risk prevails over the spread of dengue fever due to the existing inclement weather situation in the country. The health authorities have requested the public to direct their attention in this regard. An awareness program was initiated today in areas prone for the spread of dengue fever in Colombo district. The program has been jointly initiated by the Police Environmental Division, Community Police Units, police stations in Colombo district and the Special Task Force. Accordingly, the priority will be given for fumigation and the cleaning of rainwater accumulated places. The dengue prevention program will be carried out in all the police divisions in the country from today onwards. That's all the news for today. Join us again at the same time tomorrow. Good night.
Good night.